All right,
Let's dive in.
let's dive in. First, and I've told you guys before, I am not on Facebook very often, so here's a public awareness announcement. Please do not use our Facebook group page to ask for contract questions or legal questions, because we're not watching that all day long.
No.
If you want a quick answer and the right answer that we can back you up on,
Call us.
legal contracts, call the hotline.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we've got to look at our Twitter feed, we got to look at our Facebook feed,
We
I
gotta
got to
look
look
at
at my LinkedIn.
Instagram.
It's overwhelming. So we have a contract hotline and a phone number and an email.
Yep, exactly.
That's how you get us. And I love you guys using Facebook
Yeah,
for
sharing and
new
bouncing
listings
ideas off of
and
each other. Yeah, that's
you
great.
know a buyer in Parsippany, New Jersey, or whatever. That's awesome. Or basic scenarios, but legal questions. Let's keep that to the contract hotline, and then we'll share with you guys the answers. Because there's no way I could have answered this question on Facebook.
In less than 100 words.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So today's topic was brought to you by Joshua Wolf.
Yeah, thank you for this question, Joshua.
Yeah.
It was a great question. When we have inventory as low as the inventory levels as low as they are right now, and you're working with multiple buyers that are looking in the same geographic area, there is a chance there's going to be some overlap and that you'll be showing a couple clients the same house. So what do you do if both of your buyers want to write an offer on the same house and you're the buyer's agent for each of them?
Yeah, and what's the issue? I mean, so what do you mean when I do? I go show my houses.
I write offers.
Well, obviously you start thinking, oh, what if they both want to write an offer and I know this information? Am I supposed to share it with them? Is somebody going to have a leg up over the other person because I know what they're writing? And what if I told this person? So that's the issue. That's the scenario is, oh, I've got both these people. And Nancy Umbright had, you want a simple solution? Refer one of them out.
For that one house.
Yep. That's a simple.
Bring in another equity agent and say, hey, would you take this buyer under your wing because I don't feel comfortable writing an offer for buyer A and buyer B and being the advisor and guider to both of them.
Yep. And then we were talking, look, this is a buyer you might have been working with for quite some time. You procured him or her, them, whatever. And the last thing you want to do is just give up this buyer and get a 25% referral fee. No, we were talking and saying, look, you've got this person, they've been qualified, you've been working with them, and you're going to call up someone else in our office and say, will you just represent them on this, writing up the offer and getting things started. And really, if the other deal one's going to get accepted. So if theirs got accepted and yours didn't, you can then jump back in and help things along. But I would be asking for a very large referral back or paying a very small referral out.
Yeah, be paying a very small fee to that agent who's going to step in just for the offer submission and negotiation process, just to get that client under contract. But we do believe, in our opinion, that you can maintain neutrality and help both of those buyers write an offer on that single house.
So this all comes down to what can you do? What can you keep to yourself?
Yeah.
And we could even go outside of this scenario and talk about what if you had a listing and then you bring in a buyer and you turn into a transaction broker. Well, that means that you're supposed to not say anything that the buyer tells you that might affect their leverage, ability to buy that home, that might be good for the seller to know. And you're supposed to keep anything that you know about the seller from the buyer. So the law understands or presupposes that you actually have control over what you say.
Yeah, you can keep secrets.
You can keep secrets. Yeah, that I mean Dora says we can have transaction broker, which means they trust that we will do the right thing and not share stuff we're not supposed to
divulge
share.
information about one party to the other that you shouldn't.
So if we can do that as a transaction broker, why can't we do that with two buyers that we have? Why can I not have buyer A and buyer B, and the way I work with buyers, I have the same kind of flow with how I represent them and I educate them. I'm going to show you properties. I'm going to do CMAs for you. I'm going to give you my knowledge of how I like to negotiate. I'm going to educate you on what this market means and the types of things you can do to better your offer in this market. And when they come to me and say, well, what would you offer, Todd? What would you offer, Stacy? We always say, we're not buying a home.
Yeah, you're the one buying. I've told you can put an escalation clause in the contract. I've told you can remove contingencies. I've told you that you can have an appraisal gap. What would you like to do?
And my thing, and even not in a crazy market, just in any market, I have always said, let's write an offer that in the event that you don't get the home, you're not disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to play the game and negotiate, that's fine. Just know that there's other people out there all the time, and it's like when you decide to go out to dinner, everyone else seems to go out to dinner.
Yeah.
It's not always that busy, but sometimes people all go at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my suggestion. Write an offer that in the event that you don't get the home, you're not disappointed.
Your no regrets offer.
Yeah. So I'm not telling one party, this is what I would offer, and this party over here, well, I think you should. If you give both parties the same information, the same advice, I believe you're safe. You're good. And would I disclose that I am working with? You bet.
Yes, absolutely.
You bet. Because you do have agency relationships with these people. Mm-hmm. And that means you need to be utmost honest, their fiduciary, letting them know everything. And if they have an issue, then you definitely refer somebody out.
Yeah, if
So
they say, I don't feel comfortable knowing that you're also writing an offer for another buyer and that it just isn't working for me, then definitely you want to escalate it up to referring them out.
But I believe we can withhold information
Yeah.
from other people.
Yeah, you don't tell buyer A that buyer B is writing a $415,000 offer with a $3,000 escalation clause and no appraisal. Nor do you tell buyer B that buyer A is offering X. So
I would be fine. I mean, there is no law on this. We will have opinions all over the place on this, for sure. But again, right now, buyers seem to be coming out of the woodwork. And we're like, oh, it's just another buyer. You know, there are times in your career where a buyer is gold.
yeah,
And you work so hard to market and to build that database up and to get those referrals, that to just give away a buyer, well, that doesn't make sense to me. And you had that relationship with them. You had
they have
a
that
fiduciary
trust,
trust
and they're
with them.
working with you for a reason.
Yeah. Now, if you can't do this,
If you know, I can't keep this information myself.
maybe it's a really good friend. One's a really good friend, and one is somebody who just came off the internet in an open house. If you in your head go, oh, I'd really love to see A
So-and-so
get
get it.
this doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
You have to be able to know who you are and to know that you're not going to help one over the other or root for one over the other. And it's the same again, back to working with family. Legally, we have to disclose when we have a financial interest in a transaction. So what were you going to say?
I said, yep.
Oh, so yeah, you know, your husband or wife, brother, sister, and you guys maybe have a listing together, you own a home together, you have to disclose that you're a realtor and all that kind of stuff. If you're working with your second cousin and you have no financial obligation in the contract, you don't have to disclose that.
Yeah.
And you can work with that person as an agent or a transaction broker. But you would have to remove yourself as a transaction broker if you can't Be neutral.
Yeah.
No, this is my cousin, and he and I go,
Way back.
Way back. We're the close, like brothers. And if you're gonna root for someone, that doesn't work.
Yeah. The other scenario that doesn't work, I'd like to say this is pretty obvious, but we'll go ahead and put it out there.
Oh, yes.
If you are one of the buyers that are going to write an offer on that house, so you're representing yourself, you also like that listing that your buyer wants to pursue, you cannot write an offer for your buyer and write an offer for yourself, because there's no way you're not looking out for your best interest, and you know all this financial information about your client that you will use against them.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. So it's probably clear as mud. But there's ways to make it happen, is the best way I can say this. Yes, you can do it, as long as you can do it. As long as you can be fair. You being fair to both parties, and both parties knowing that you are representing other people.
Yeah, whatever you learn about the seller, you have to pass along to both.
Yep.
If you learn that they have 10 offers, 20,000 over asking price, you have to let both of those buyers know that information. So.
Philip just said, if you're showing a second buyer the same house, you might want to notify them. And sure, I think that's just market knowledge. When you're showing right now, anytime you're showing, it's like, yeah, they had 15 showings set up today. It was hard for us to get in there today. I showed it myself this morning at 9:30. It's now 11. Let your other person know when you showed it at 9:30. I'm scheduling at 11. There's already 10 other showings.
Yeah.
It's just, that's market knowledge. And again, like you said, Philip, it's disclosed to your both buyers the same stuff.
Yep, agreed. Very good.
What is your advice on the best way to disclose writing your buyers if they are interested in the same property? Yeah. Oh, in writing.
In writing. It doesn't need to be on a legal, like amend, extend, or anything like that. Just in writing. And
shoot an email.
Would be perfect. And then you've got the paper trail that you let them both know.
Yeah. They don't have to sign it. This is, we're just disclosing. Just letting you know out there, hey, I've got someone else who's interested. They might be writing as well. Do you have any issue with that?
Yep.
And you've had the talk, how I represent you and the information I'm going to be giving you. If you just found the person for sale by at an open house and haven't talked to them at all, and you start writing an offer and you don't tell them how you work, and you throw out, I might have another buyer, they might be totally wigged out. So you have to have a conversation with people and explain to them how you're going to help them, how you're going to help the other party, how you're not going to talk about what this person's doing or that person's doing. There's no need for them to worry about your one buyer when there's 15 other buyers. Let's worry about those 15.
Or 40 that
or
they're
40.
competing against.
Yeah. So don't worry about everyone else in the world. Be concerned about what you feel you can write an offer for on that home. That's all there is to it. And the buyer's going to have to make their best decision. And I keep saying, how do we win? There's 20, 30, 40 people not win. You're not always going to win.
Yeah.
That's just, it's going to be the best offer wins. And the best offer means all kinds of things.
Yeah, it depends on the seller. What are they looking for? Price definitely helps, but maybe that 60-day free post-closing occupancy or the specific closing date they wanted is what sets them apart from anybody else. And so it's really key to call that listing agent and say, what does your seller need?
Yeah, so many things.
Yeah.
Good question.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap up, get you guys out of here on time, as we always promise, 30 minutes. No other questions.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
See ya.